Hey there everybody, it's Wayne D. Welcome to the website, WayneD.com. And we're looking at last week's winner, first time winner Andrew Landry. Andrew is 5'7", launches his driver. Some of the TrackMan things they were doing was hitting it 300 yards in the air. Pretty amazing. Strong guy. And, he played great in the U.S. Open last year, and now he's a tour winner. So I like these two swings. This is off of YouTube stuff that TrackMan put out. So we've got a driver and we have a 5-wood, and this is very instructive for people that are wondering, and I get the question all the time when I teach, what's the difference between a driver and an iron, and or is the driver swing the same? And the answer is yes and no, obviously. So here's a 5-wood, I think, and it falls into the category of ball on ground. And here's a driver, which is obviously ball on tee. So when the ball's on a tee, you want to launch it. Look where the ball is in his stance. This is also very cool because the camera is fixed and not moving around, and it's in the right spot, so we can really compare these two swings. It's pretty cool. So obviously he's got the 5-wood inside of the heel by probably, I don't know, a couple inches. He doesn't really flare his left toe out very much, so the driver is arguably in front of his heel. So when you look at how far behind the ball he is, if we draw a straight line down from here and then from here, now that's a huge difference. So everything is going to be loading behind the ball. So Andrew's got a very strong grip. Take a look at the right, the V on the right hand. So that's under, and the left hand is about a 4-knuckler. And another thing that's distinctive is the straightness of his both arms, actually. So he's got his elbows pinched in. Now watch. So he's going to start the swing. You can see it start with a set. He's going to move the club with his hands and wrists first. So you can see nothing going on in the upper trunk until the club gets going a little bit, maybe about a foot back. So this is what you would call an early set, when the grip is right next to the right thigh. When the shaft gets to parallel, or P2, then you know that that's setting early. Now the interesting thing about Landry's got a large amount of wrist cock early. You don't really see a whole lot of guys with the club 45 at left arm parallel, so that's a lot of wrist cock early. But look how he's extending wide and away from the ball. So I teach this constantly. It's not easy to do. The right wrist, or the right palm, is pushing out into that left thumb. So the backswing does not feel like it's circling around the head. It feels like it's heading out away from the body. Now this makes it ultra important to keep braced on that right leg so that there's no swaying or sliding. So look how his hips stay really nicely in the box. He's got about, let's put it at half a head of movement loading right, and quite a bit of, a little more angle back here than you'll see most of the time. So let's watch that downswing. His head does not recover. He's got a tremendous amount of lag. with that really strong grip, when he goes back and gets that left wrist cupped, that allows him to produce a lot of angle. Now he's going to stay behind this thing, and this is like the ultimate drive, hold, release. So if he's going to lag, if he's going to delay it that long, he's going to have that ball forward and his upper body tilted way back here. So, but you can just see it, his hands are just getting to the ball way up there. And now that club is going to be in line with his left arm like forever. So if you look at Spieth's swing, very similar as far as what happens going past the ball. Alright, a lot of lines, let's get rid of those. That's a cool picture there. Now let's watch the 5-wood, because it's very interesting. The ball is, like I said, a couple inches back. You can see less movement to the right, but still right loaded for sure, and still upper body angled back, and still that extension for width. So I usually tell people that once you get the left arm parallel, the rest of the backswing just feels like it goes over there. And as long as you brace here and keep that left arm connected, you can't get away from yourself too much. Now let's watch the forward swing. Notice how the head will recover more, and we get a little bit more lateral with the hips. So watch the difference in the sliding of the hips, because you need more weight left if you're going to hit the ball off the ground. So here we've got about that much, and we've got more over here, so that's a good indication that he's transferred more pressure to the left. Now watch the hands go past the ball. Here's the vertical up from the ball. So this is going to be a descending blow with the shaft leaning forward. Still well behind it. Now normally you would see most of the best ball strikers from the furthest left point of the left hip, which is about right here, and that's pretty much standard, about the left arm about 45 down. The belt buckle would finish up against this line here. It doesn't really do that until he goes into the follow through. So anyway, it's a really good indication of the difference between hitting one off the tee and hitting one off the ground. Alright, so let's go over to a couple of down the line swings. We'll just look at this one first. This was a slow-mo swing with a good camera angle here. Now this, remember, his grip is extremely strong, so even when he's trying to open the face and cup the wrist, there's just no way the face is going to get much more open than that. You can see the wrist is still bent back. So you also see some fairly early hip movement, meaning it's in sync. He's not really delaying his hips very much. He's got the open stance to help him clear his hips. That left arm parallel, the elbows are fairly level. Right arm is sort of an average position. It's a little bit in front of him, but you can see how he's maintained that nice slight cup in his left wrist, And with the grip being that strong, that means the face is still going to be open. So one of the things that's interesting about Landry is he tends to back away a little bit in the backswing, and then in the forward swing you can actually see it. I can't draw the lines at the beginning because the camera's moving around, but he's going to lean into this shot a little bit. But he's got his right arm nicely working in front of him. Great control of the shaft. Look at how it stays above the forearm. And you just know when the face is a little bit closed on the approach, you've got to be late with your release, and you've got to be open with your body. So the coolest thing here, and it's something that's hard to do if you don't have the pivot movement to support it, is to keep the right arm this bent past impact. So he's hitting the ball right there. And you can see the right arm straighten over to the left. And with that strong grip and that drive hold release, there's not a ton of face rotation through the ball. But he does have that full roll. You look at the way the face looks there. So he's not blocking this shot. He's going to take it and really give it a full unwind. Look at how open he is. It's great. And then there's another thing that I really like, wish I could do it myself, is to release the left side and the left shoulder so fully that the left forearm is angled away in this direction, you know, as opposed to being up here like that. So pretty cool looking swing. Really like that. So if we go over to the tournament and look at a couple of shots here. It's got 166 miles an hour of ball speed. It's probably just sort of popping that one into the fairway. Might have feathered that one in there a little bit. Let's look at another one here. He hit this drive 370 yards. And here's a little wedge shot. Look at that left finish. That's pretty crazy. And look where that forearm is on the approach. I mean, that's like right down there on plane. You don't see too many players coming into the ball with their hands as close to the body as that. And look at that left, look at that release. I think that's extra cool. So here's a nice picture, a little high camera, but from above. Let's watch this one. So, good example of the lean back and the takeaway, and then the forward lean to make up for it, which is something that I would, not encourage players to do. But what we're watching here is things that are successful for the player individually, so it doesn't really matter. And look at that right arm. That driver is going off the ball there. And look at that sucker. Pretty crazy. So some of the most open hips at impact on the tour, and one of the furthest left releases. So you can see very, very low and bent over through the ball. Perfect. One more shot. check this one out. So hit that one a little harder, a little more ball speed. You carried that one 300, and the guy's 5'7", so pretty cool. And one other thing, the tempo is interesting. It's definitely winding up slower, and then man, he just really goes in the downswing. So great win for him, and I think this is pretty good stuff. So I would expect him to keep playing well.